Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to tell you all about my new favorite minimalist shoe brand. That's PELUVA. And I'm also gonna cover what's the deal with, those funny looking shoes that you might have seen, people wear around you, and what the problem is from a health perspective with most traditional shoes. So stay tuned and let's get right to it. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel and you click on the little alert button so you get notified when I publish more videos like this. Now, usually at this point of the video, I'm going to tell you about my affiliate disclaimer and that I might earn commissions, etc. And that's still the case, but I want to give you a little bit of background on how I came to work with PELUVA, because that's not always the case with brands that I work with. And so PELUVA was founded by Mark Sisson, and you might remember Mark Sisson from the brand Primal Kitchen. That's one of the brands that he started many years ago, or his famous blog Mark's Daily Apple that I actually learned a lot from over the years when I started researching more and going more into health and better eating and diet, etc. And so a couple of years ago, we started buying Primal Kitchen mayo and ketchup. And to this point, if you go to our pantry, if you look in our pantry and our fridge, you'll find Primal Kitchen ketchup and mayo. And that's a brand that Mark founded several years ago. Then just recently, I stumbled across, or I started realizing really that the shoes that I've been wearing are not conducive to foot health and to proper posture and to many other aspects of health. And so I started looking into what's called white box shoes, those shoes that give your toes a lot of space. And coincidentally then I saw an ad on Instagram from PELUVA, and I saw, Mark, started this new brand with his son Kyle. And I'm like, this sounds interesting. So I went ahead and purchased a pair long before I became an affiliate or anything of PELUVA. And so I purchased a pair, I started wearing them, and I absolutely loved them. And then I'm like, this might be a good target or a good product for a future review. And roughly at the same time, I get an email from a mutual friend who is helping Mark and Kyle promote the brand and launch the brand. And he said, hey, do you want to, get a free pair and, maybe share your opinion with your audience? And I'm like, absolutely. I love those shoes. I have a pair already. So if you want to send me another pair, I'm not going to say no, because I wear them every single day. And so they probably wear out quicker than if I, would change my footwear every couple of days. And so that's how I came to work with PELUVA. I started out as a customer, loved the product, and then I became an affiliate. So I am an affiliate right now. And if you use my code or my link, then I get a commission, and I would certainly appreciate that because that helps me buy more of those shoes. So with that out of the way, let's get right to it. And let's talk about some of the issues associated with regular shoes. And one of the main problems is that they cramp your toes. If you look at a healthy foot, the toes should have some separation. They should naturally spread out. And most modern footwear is not conducive to allowing your toes to do exactly that. And the problem is not only a cosmetic one. I mean, if you look at a hammer toe, it doesn't look pretty. But more importantly, it negatively impacts the health of your foot. It changes your posture. It can delay, recovery from injuries. It can make you more prone to injuries, especially if you work out, if your posture is not right, etc. So there are many issues associated with unhealthy feet, and shoes are one of the main causes of deteriorating foot health. In fact, I remember when I was a kid, our pediatrician told my parents, the best you can do, or the best your kids can do, is walk barefoot. And I certainly remember that, and it stuck with me, but I never fully appreciated what that meant in the realm of modern footwear until about a year ago, when we started discovering that our toe health wasn't really that great, and it started impacting our posture and our workout performance and recovery performance and our risk of injury, etc. And so we started changing our footwear. And one thing that I really like about PELUVA is that they not only give your toes enough space, no, they actually promote the proper separation of those toes by having one toe in each of those, little compartments, I should say. And that is sometimes necessary if your toes are already so cramped, because if you have been wearing shoes, regular shoes, for a long time, your toes get into a certain position and you have to kind of do the extreme opposite to get them back into a normal position. And so by actively separating those toes rather than just giving them enough space in a white box design can actually help get your toes back into the proper position, and PELUVA does exactly that, and that's what I really like. The other thing with most modern shoes is that you cannot feel the texture of the ground you're walking on, and you might think, well, what do I care, if I feel what I'm walking on? I don't want to feel any pain or whatever, or discomfort, and obviously you don't, but that feedback you get from the ground directly influences where you put your weight. It instructs your brain, so to say, or your body in general, to properly distribute the weight across the sole of your feet. If you don't get that feedback, you cannot do what your body wants to do naturally. If you don't feel what you're walking on, it's a problem. And so the other thing I really like about the PELUVAs is that yes, they do have a very good sole that prevents you from getting hurt if you step on a rusty nail or on a shard of glass or whatever, but they are thin enough to provide you with enough feedback so you can feel exactly what you're walking on. So if I use those shoes every day to walk our dog, in a forest trail, and there are a lot of wood chips and gravel, and I can feel every single wood chip, I can feel every single pebble or stone without being uncomfortable, without it hurting, but I can feel it. So my body knows how to properly distribute the weight and how to walk properly. And that's one other thing that I really like about those shoes. They are super flexible and comfortable, but the sole is thin enough at the same time that I can get that direct feedback, and I really like that. Other thing that I really like about the PELUVAs is they are fairly stylish. I mean, PELUVA has different types of shoes. This one is called the Strand, which is I think more like the workout-ish kind of shoe. But to be perfectly honest, I wear those shoes for everything really. And that goes then, to versatility, which is another big argument and important factor for me. But just from a style perspective, there are some people that absolutely hate those toe shoes or finger shoes or whatever they are called. There are some that absolutely swear by it. I like it. I don't mind that at all, because I appreciate the benefit so much that I also like the style now suddenly. But there are those who don't like the traditional, finger shoes. And I think PELUVA has been able to strike a good balance between design and functionality, because those shoes, they kind of, if you wear them with jeans or really with anything, they look decent. I wear them for, to go grocery shopping. I think I even wore them when I had an appointment with an attorney to close on a property. I wear those shoes, I think you can get away with wearing the shoes for pretty much anything. They are stylish enough. They don't look nerdy like I used to have, and I still do actually. Another very famous brand of minimalist shoes with, the toe separation, and they look more like beach shoes. So I wouldn't necessarily wear them, when I go out with my wife. But those ones, I feel comfortable wearing anywhere. And they even have more stylish kind of, styles that look more like sneakers and less like a workout shoe or whatever. So you can get something that's even stylier if you want to, even more fashionable, if you will. But even those I wear pretty much anywhere. The other thing, versatility, I mentioned already. I used to be one of those people who have a different shoe for a specific use case. Like I have a lifting shoe, I have a Metcon shoe for my metabolic conditioning, I have running shoes even though I don't run a lot, I have sneakers, I have all kinds of different shoes for specific use cases. Those guys I wear to everything. CrossFit, lifting, and by lifting I mean heavy lifting, like 400-pound squats, front squats, heavy deadlifts, box jumps, burpees. I even did Murph, the Murph challenge, which, if you don't know what Murph is, check out a separate video that I did on the Murph challenge in a fasted state. But basically I wear a 20-pound vest and I have to do a bunch of things, including 2 miles of running with those shoes. Not a problem whatsoever. Absolutely love the experience. Solid grip on the ground. I can feel what I'm walking on, what I'm jumping on. And so I wear them for workout, I wear them for grocery shopping, I wear them, for attorney appointments, and for anything in between. Absolutely versatile. Comfort is also super important. I used to buy my second pair of white box shoes that I ever owned. I wore for the biohacking conference last year. And right here where the grease is, I think they were leather shoes, and right here where the grease is, I started getting a blister. And I had to, that was the only pair of shoes I brought because I thought they would be perfectly fine for walking, 2 days in a row. They were not. Those shoes I wore to this year's biohacking conference 3 days in a row, barefoot with only those shoes, and they were perfectly comfortable. I didn't even notice that I wore shoes. I felt I was walking barefoot all day. Absolutely comfortable. Another factor that I really like about the PELUVAs. And the last thing is, wife approval. As I mentioned before, there are some people who absolutely don't like that type of design where you can see your toes. My wife appreciates the benefits of white box shoes and proper footwear to support foot health. She has white box shoes, not white, not as the color, but white box shoes that are certainly much less stylish than a typical women's footwear, but she hasn't quite gotten around those types of shoes yet. And in the past, when I either walked barefoot or had the previous barefoot shoes that I had, she was frowning upon that, and she's like, if you must, but I don't really like it. With those shoes, she's okay. She might not be wearing those types of shoes yet. I have hope she's gonna come around. But at least she doesn't mind me wearing them when we're out together. And so that's another important factor. Now, in terms of pricing, those shoes are priced somewhere between $140 and $200. So it depends on what style you get. This one is I think the least expensive one, the Strand. It's costs about $140 or $139 or so. I have a discount code that gets you a couple of % off. I'm gonna link it down in the description so you can check that out. I think the shoes are priced fairly for what they deliver, for the benefits, for the package or a combination of style, functionality, health benefits, comfort, etc. You can certainly get cheaper shoes, you can get much more expensive shoes, but I think the PELUVA strike the right balance between cost and benefit, so they are a good value, I think. I certainly have shoes, workout shoes in particular, like my Nike Metcons, that usually cost more than that, and they are less comfortable and less good for my overall foot health, so I really like those. In terms of what PELUVA could improve, there are only really a few things, and I think my biggest, I don't even want to say gripe because it's not such a big deal, but the laces are relatively long, and I think the reason for that is because there are certainly people with different feet widths. My feet are fairly narrow in comparison to the length. I wear 11.5 typically, and so mine are not super wide. So the laces, I can actually tie them relatively tight here, and so I have a lot of extra lace material, so I have to do like a double knot, which is not terrible, but if I could offer a suggestion or a personal wish, if they could just put in shorter laces in the box so I can take those out and put in the shorter ones, that would be awesome. I'm still okay with doing a double knot, not a problem. I could also cut them or just get shorter ones, buy them myself, not a problem. But that's really the main thing that I want to say PELUVA could improve. Otherwise, craftsmanship, material, everything is super comfortable, breathable, flexible. Really love the shoe. In terms of cleaning or keeping it from or preventing it from smelling, because I usually wear those shoes barefoot. Now PELUVA sells finger socks that you can use so to prevent that issue in the first place, but if you wear them barefoot like I do, you want to make sure you rinse them in warm soapy water every so often before they really start smelling. If you don't, you might have to soak them or even put them in the washer, which is generally not ideal for any type of shoe. Otherwise, that's really the just from a maintenance perspective, keep them clean if you wear them barefoot, or wear socks and you're not going to have that issue unless you have really stinky feet. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, there is nothing to complain about this shoe. I have 2 pairs. I'm gonna certainly get more because I really like them. I wear them all day. My wife's okay with that, and I absolutely love how they feel. I don't even notice wearing those shoes, and so I can highly recommend them. If you want to give them a try again, use my discount code. That helps make this channel happen. That helps me buy more more of those shoes, so I appreciate it. If you have any questions about those shoes or the benefits or anything else, let me know in the comments. I usually try and respond to every single comment that I get. And with that, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.